What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers, is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and being part of that epic conversation or conversations, that and also that team reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers and men around the world in 2022 and 2021. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And a little backstory, as always, I like to share with people. I get a chance to host a lot of conversations, epic conversations, hosted over 4,000 of them. But one of the ones I hold closest and dearest to my heart is a regular conversation called Dr. Vibe's Allies. And what is it all about? It's where Black men or melanated men from Canada, the United States, and England, we get together. Well, initially, we got together once a month many, many years ago. We took a break, and now we started back up again. And it's probably one of the few regular conversations of melanated men on different continents that happens on a regular basis. So I'm always excited to have these conversations with my brothers in arms. And I just want to show people something really cool. I'm blessed. For those who don't know, I have a lot of interns that work with me periodically, and they've all been great. And for the longest period of time, I said, we needed a new logo for Dr. Vibe's Allies. And the original logo was done by VU, who's one of the allies, and hopefully he'll be able to come on with us tonight. Okay, I said, we're starting round 2 of the allies. We need to up the game. So I asked my intern if he'd be up to taking the charge or taking the mission. That's a better way, taking the mission. And he said he'd love to. And I said, well, one of the allies, he doesn't want his face on the image. He wants a tank. And he got all giggly when he heard about the tank. So you saw at the beginning, but this is the new Dr. Vibe Allies logo. This is what we got. So I'm looking from my left, probably your right, Victory Unlimited. He's from the U.S. Then we have Jonathan Juiceman Shaw from the Greater Toronto, Brampton area. Let me make that proper, Brampton area. Then we have Clive Henri from Robin Hill Country, Nottingham Forest in England. And we've got Henri Morris, who is in California, but he's Philly blood, Philly born and bred. Then you've got me in the corner, and then you've got the tank, which is Mike Ramey. So I would love to get your feedback, what you think about the logo. I think he did a great job. I think he did a really good job with that logo. So that is the new logo for the Allies. And also, you're going to see it right in the corner there, too. So right now, we only have one of the other Allies available. But you know what? One's better than none, because you don't want to hear me chatting all night. So from Nottingham Forest, Nottingham, England, Sir Clive Henri is on mission. What's going on, Clive Henri?
Good evening, Dr. Vibe. Good evening, listeners. It's all good. We've got summer in the UK, and so we've had a heat wave. It's been really nice, and I haven't been getting as good a sleep because the fan's been on all night. But I'm happy
you don't
that
have air conditioning.
No. In the UK, it's one of those things where it's cold most of the time. So air conditioning would be an investment. What wouldn't be an investment, if you understand that? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we're getting. Well, I don't know how much you keep on track of what's going on this side of the pond, but we're getting this smoke.
Oh.
And the heat, like from fires that are hopping away from here, but the smoke is drifting in. Yes, we're broadcasting live on June 29th. Was it yesterday? Toronto had the worst pollution index of any major city in the world yesterday.
Wow.
So it was crazy, and now there's still a little bit of smoke, but the temperature's going up. Like it's like 2 days into summer now. So you have the heat, the humidity, the smoke. So it's beginning to crawl in. Let me just see if Victory Unlimited is with us now. Victory? No, not yet. Victory, you're not with us? Well, physically we can see. Well, physically we can see. Visually we can see, but we don't hear you yet. Okay. Don't know what's going on with your Victory, but hey, well, I don't know what's up, but we'll continue on. I'll try fooling around on your end. And Victory, use the private chat to tell me when you want to come back in to see if your audio is corrected. But so, Clive, how things been going? Haven't chatted with you a month. What's been going on?
Okay, so we're now in the month of June. So in the UK, we have been celebrating the Windrush.
What's
For
that?
the people that don't know what the Windrush is, basically it was a. Let me start from the beginning. Basically,
Sure.
the UK, with the Commonwealth countries during the war, after the like 1940s and early 50s, we had all of the Commonwealth countries were invited by the UK government to come and help rebuild the empire. So you got people from every part of the world, like the Caribbean, India, etc. All the Commonwealth countries, they were invited over. That's how I am here, because my parents are Jamaican and they came over in the 60s. So the Windrush was a boat which was called the something Windrush. Okay, so that's what made the name stick. But basically, Britain changed. It was the majority population white people, and they had boatloads of people coming over, and the dynamic changed. The whole culture began to change, and the Caribbean culture became the UK culture. So we've been celebrating this year 75 years, and it's been a case of all the elders telling their stories, or the documentary showing how you got like London Carnival, for example, what people will know worldwide, and the food and the culture, what they brought from the Caribbean, Africa, etc., to the UK. So the UK is now a diverse population of all different kind of flavors. It's not just the traditional foods what the UK had, and also how things are viewed. For example, it's like with the Windrush, people are now seeing, oh, there's a different culture. So they go and visit our countries, and for example, Canada is part of the Commonwealth of Britain. So there's a lot been going on, a lot of celebrations and a lot of historical things, but also it's been positive, but also there's a negative. The people what came from the Caribbean, they came on a passport. Say, for example, the parents, they came on
Mhm.
one passport, and the children came on the same passport. So when these children grew up, they worked in society, paid their taxes. But there was a scandal a few years back where people got deported because they weren't on the system according to the government, and they were deported back to the countries of origin. So there was a lot of people, what was like 60 plus, what was, grown up here, their whole lives here, and they was deported back to like Jamaica and other different Caribbean islands. And so it was called the Windrush scandal. So it's been a mixed, a blessing and a curse really, because, it's a tarnished thing where it should never have happened. So they're still fixing that. And, there's been a lot going on. But as far as people are concerned, we're proud that our parents, came over here, was adventurous, didn't know what it was like, didn't know how cold it was, and they came here from the heat of the Caribbean to the UK in the cold, and it really used to be cold when I was a kid, and my mum said it was really cold when she came here, that they
Mm.
wanted to go back home, but they had a one-way ticket. So they are really, I've got to take my hat off to all the people that came here, because they did not know. They never had a review. They couldn't go on YouTube to say, let me look at this before I take the trip. They just came. They was adventurers. They did what they did. They came to get money and send money back home. And some of them decided to stay. Some of them went back home. So yeah, it's been nice, and to see the elders when you see them on the street, they can tell you the stories, and also the documentaries that I've been watching, and things you don't know and things you're finding out, and I've been sharing a lot, and people have been sharing a lot. So yeah, it's been interesting. Food, good conversation, good history. So yeah, this is it.
Okay. We're gonna try Victory Unlimited again, see what happens. VU.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yay!
Yes.
Man,
Yes, VU.
I've been fighting many battles just to get to the front line. What's going on, brother? Sorry I'm late. I was held back
No,
by
it's a
behind enemy lines.
how you been, man? How you been?
Oh man, it's been 100 degrees here in Memphis, Tennessee for the past
See,
three
yeah,
Wow.
days.
it's hot where Clive is. It's warm where we are. So it's like no, there's no such thing as climate change, right?
No, it's just a rumor.
So good to have you, VU. So good to have you. Clive was just kicking off talking about Windrush, going on about that. What is there anything you want to chat about tonight? I have some alleged things, but is there anything running from your heart and mind that you want to bantering about this evening?
Let's see what you already got on the table.
Well,
Leadership general.
oh jeez. Well, we on the back channel we didn't really decide anything, and Clive just wanted to make Windrush, but um, okay, and here we are. We're having a conversation, two different continents. So, but this is a topic I'm going to bring up that we've chatted about periodically. But in the United States Supreme Court today said that affirmative action in universities should not exist. So the debate or the conversation topic I think we could chat right now is has affirmative like are is this something to be sad about? Like I listened to another commentator, they say, yeah, I got to where he's melanated like us. He said, I got to where I am through affirmative action, but sometimes adversity can be turned into opportunity. And that he says, if you take a look of before, well, we're using US as a reference here, blacks before, melanated people before affirmative action had more land, more entrepreneurs, etc., etc. He's saying we shouldn't rely on people who don't look like us for our success. Just putting it out there. So I don't know if it, like that affirmative action thing.
I'll dive in.
Okay, I know you would. Go for it, man.
I'll dive in. First of all, I like to say, how do I feel about it? I'm not surprised.
No.
Um, Something else I'll say is this: I appreciate what the person said that you just quoted, but I can assure that person and everyone else listening that with or without affirmative action, there's no shortage of adversity that Black people face. You know, we got more than enough adversity to go around. With or without affirmative action being in place, I find it ironic that supposedly the person who led the charge to get rid of it was a huge recipient of it. I believe that person is Clarence Thomas.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
and I
Oh
think
boy.
it's just a tad bit disingenuous. That's almost like if Clive owns the house and I've been knocking on the door for years, and Clive said, "You know what? You here's a key. Here's the key, man. Matter of fact, I'm even going to leave the door unlocked." So I said, "Thanks, Clive. I take the key. Then I just, I can come in. I can finally get in. I can use a key to get in. I don't have to break through the windows to get in, right?" So I've been living in the house downstairs. Clive's been living upstairs, and everything is fine enough. But I suddenly decide, you know, even though I needed a key to get in, I think what I'm going to do is just throw this key away and lock the door behind me, and without offering any other form of interest to anyone who comes behind me. So I would think that the biggest problem that I have with the concept of what has happened is that they do what they always do. They replace a flawed system with nothing.
Mm, true.
I just want to add another layer to this, but also the Supreme Court made a judgment today that affirmative action is still good with the armed forces, though.
How
So
convenient.
so I listened to a commentator today. She was a male person saying, "Okay, you don't want us to get education, but you do want us fighting on the front lines."
Yeah, they have a quota for those front lines. Make sure you meet that quota.
And there's no surprise there. There's no surprise, you know.
Clive Henry, what are your thoughts?
Well, I understand what the affirmative action is, but it's like you said before, black people had all these things, and we've been tricked into believing that we would have equality, you know. And it's like with the civil rights movement, we had everything. We had you had your own baseball teams, you had all your entrepreneurs, you had land and so forth, and you know, people bombed it out of existence and took it over. And it's just like we need to still stick to that, because that's the only way you are going to. We're basically on it's illusionally roundabout. You know, it looks good. I will say this: here at the front, bold at the back. That's what I always say. When something looks good from the front, but when you turn around, it's bold at the back. That is what they do to black people all the time. So there are no surprises when it comes to the treatment of black people, and the fact that they're saying that the quota is going to be met with the military because they want to use you. It's all about, can we use these black people? That's what it's always been. You know, I've done the history of study, so
Hey,
nothing
Clive.
surprised me.
Hey, Clive,
Yeah.
it sounds like you just described a high top fade.
Well, it's true.
It is. It's
It's
true.
true. It's like when people, you can say things to people and they don't read or they don't take notice of things, but I take notice of everything. Like I might be watching the TV and I'll notice, why are all the black characters in this program negative all the time? Not even one good black character, you know? So you
You,
see it all the time if you're looking for it, you know?
you would think that if it wasn't being done on purpose by accident, you see that good character more often, right?
Exactly.
Whenever we have conversation topics like this with the allies, it, a term always comes resonating in my head, and I know maybe VU is going to know what I'm going to say, but I will never forget many, many years ago, VU, you made the term the illusion of inclusion.
Inclusion. Yep. I've heard him say
When
that
I
many a
heard
time.
when I heard that news today, that was the first thing that came to my head, saying, I'm speaking that VU is going to be on tonight, and he's going to talk about this ruling and the illusion of inclusion.
Of course, you knew I was going to talk about it, Doc. You're the one that gave me the classified file. but yeah, it's a truth. It's a sad truth. Uh, this idea that some people have that, hey, things are fine with me, that means we have arrived. No, we have not arrived. You've arrived, and your seat is temporary.
Yes.
And I think if people keep that reality in mind, perhaps uh, their responses will be more empathetic than what you see here now. It's almost like I got mine, forget about everybody else. Or like down here in my part of the South, the United States, it's an old joke that says the average prayer of the selfish person is, God bless us four and no more. It's that attitude, I have my Supreme Court justice seat, so get yours.
But so VU and Clive, it and here's another interesting spin on it. Statistically, what group has benefited the most from affirmative action?
White women.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Right. Remember what I mentioned at the very beginning. They want to take a flawed system and replace it with nothing. That is the issue. It's almost like they say, "Oh, well, what we put in place is not working, so let's do nothing." That's not a solution for a country that claims to be a first world country. And by the way, one day I'm going to sit down and find out who the hell numbered the worlds. You talk about conceit,
I just it's such a mess. It's such a mess. I like affirmative action. I'm sure there is a lot of, well, and here's another part of it. The former president of the United States, he loaded a lot of people that he wanted on the Supreme Court. So his legacy, he's really putting a stamp, because I don't mention the individual's name, but he is really putting his stamp on the history of America, even though he is not in office.
You know what? That's another way of saying, Doc and Clive. That's another way of saying that was an individual that used the services of the government to further his own ends and the ends of those he cares about.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And for people who like to say that government has no role in the types of adversities that many people face, not just black people, the people who think that government plays no role, uh, they're idiots at worst or short-sighted at best, simply because you have to solve the problem many times from a higher position than it was created. The government allowed and endorsed so many things that had an adverse effect on black people that it's going to take the government to right those wrongs, or to at least play a role in it. Now, while they're doing that, yes, we will continue to do for ourselves, definitely.
Clive, anything you're wanting to add on to that?
No, no, you use hit the spot. That's definitely.
I look at this situation that, and where is this also going to trickle down? Like I concern for many of my melanated brothers and sisters in that country, because there'll be an element that goes really rogue on this sort of stuff, right? That'll really VU, go ahead.
You know, all they needed was an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
The snowball effect, which is what you're alluding to. All they need is an excuse. All they needed was a precedent. But once again, shows you the hypocrisy that is in play. They pick and choose the quotas. It's just like there are certain services and certain things in our country that people will be quick to yell and cry out socialism, but really, when you look at America, America is not a wholly complete, unfiltered capitalist nation. There are elements within this capitalist nation that seem to mirror quote unquote socialism. So once again, the police don't give me a bill if they come and stop someone from breaking in my house. The firemen don't necessarily give me a bill for putting out the fire. But if I go to the emergency room with a cut on my finger, I got to pay $5,000. I think there's some
I
problem with that.
I I'm sorry to be coming back to you, VU, but just something in my mind. What is the status of a black person in America, in your opinion, especially after this thing has gone down?
Unfortunately, I don't think it's really changed. We take the good with the bad. We are a strong people. We are a proud people in the good sense, right? Um, we are people who have a legacy of both pain and progress.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is kind of like more of the same. I would think that the state of melanated people is what it has always been, uh,
But
pretty
but the
but precarious.
but doesn't things like this, especially in the political climate, the social climate that exists in America today, should I be concerned about your welfare?
I think you should, but not any more than you would be normally. Um,
Okay.
Simply because we can't live our lives in fear. We can't live our lives focusing on the most negative of outcomes that could occur. I think we would be fools not to brace ourselves and not to consider it, and not to try to prepare a barrier against it. Yes, we need to do that, but we can't allow ourselves to be paralyzed by fear. We have to be smarter as a people. We have to unify more as a people. We need to start voting more in blocks, especially locally.
Okay, I wanna go right there. Do you not think, and I'm going to ask both of you here, just in the state of melanin, this blackness, should we not be focusing more on economic power than political voting power?
You want me to go ahead?
Either one of you.
Yeah,
We're
go with it,
family.
Clive.
Okay, well, we spoke about this before, Dr. Claude Anderson spoke about it, powernomics. I think, regardless of what happens, good or bad, the bad things wake you up more. If you're starving, you are going to wake up and your brain's going to start working so you can survive. That's human nature. So, with whatever's happening in the States right now, it is going to wake people up to go, oh, is that how it is?
Will
Because
it? Will it?
hopefully,
Okay, that's because you're making an assumption because
assumption, yeah,
right,
hopefully,
and whether we like it or not, Clive, you're in England, I'm in
yeah,
Canada.
yeah,
Pe- Ripple effect.
yeah. True, true. But it's like people don't. Some people see things before it happens. Like I'm always abreast of what's going on, so I study history and I see the patterns. Some people don't see it until it happens. The majority is like that. When it happens, then they go, "Oh, the ship's sinking." But hopefully these negatives are. There's always a positive from a negative if you are able to flip it. But people are going to start waking up and realizing they have got to unify and be, as you said, voting by blocks, unifying with
You're
businesses
back to the voting
economically.
thing again, man.
No, but I'm just saying, for example, I don't think, to be honest, the voting thing is not the be all and end all because we need to go back to the beginning of the Black Wall Streets where we was doing it. Every nation does it. The Asians do it. Everyone does it. We used to do it. The thing is, what makes me laugh is black people used to do everything what other races are doing, but because of slavery, we've been brainwashed into thinking otherwise. And now it's become like we're learning something what we already did thousands of years ago. So we are coming back to learning where we started. And once we understand that and the unity comes, then things will change. I mean, you got to understand things will move rapidly. That's one thing what I do like about black people. When there's a trend, when something starts, it starts and it goes fast. It just takes one spark for that forest fire to go all the way through. And with all the negatives what are happening to black people, I think I'm assuming, but I hope people start to realize, look, there's a pattern going on here. There's never ever anything positive, and we need to start learning the two things that they stopped in slavery, and that's education and unity, because they're the two things what are kryptonite, what will change the game. And once that happens, it's game over globally.
I
Okay.
I agree with everything Clive has just said. Surprise, but I agree. I agree with everything Clive has just said. Um, we and Clive, I know you being a student of history. You ever notice how because Black people historically have been kind of been given the painted with the brush of being an emotional people,
Yep.
um, things tend to happen in waves. It's
Yep.
like you'll see a lot of unity, a lot of focus. We'll make a little progress, and then we tend to relax and celebrate a little too long and a little too loud.
Well,
And
hey, we're the kings and queens of symbolism.
Yeah.
exactly. So, so I don't know which part of that emotional roller coaster we're on right now, but back to what you mentioned, Doc, in regards to voting, I can really see how a more immediate impact can be made on a local level. But at the end of the day, money rules everything.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
so
yeah.
the thing is, if we have the businesses and
Mm-hmm.
we have a platform
Mm-hmm.
politically that we want to endorse, we find the candidate that will move forward with our platform, and that's where we put our money. So it's all kind of intertwined. And what I'm saying is nothing different than what any other business, any other group is already doing. Just like Clive said, this is things that we used to do anyway. But because of the
Mm-hmm.
illusion of inclusion, we start being too happy to be a part of someone else's dream that we forgot to pursue our own.
All
Exactly.
right. Let's take a quick break here. Just want to say you're watching Dr. Vibes Allies. And just want to say, encourage you, please like the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook and LinkedIn so you keep abreast of these epic conversations. Also, I didn't get a chance to get VU to comment on it. So what I'm going to do, going to show the new Dr. Vibe Allies logo. So I'm going to I don't know if VU seen it. So we're going to premiere it right here for VU and get his comments on it. So VU, here's the new logo. What are your thoughts?
that's that's funny. Look, you know what? You know we're gonna have the first Mount Rushmore facsimile that's gonna to have 5 heads on it. You know that.
Well, there's yourself, Juice Man, Jonathan Shaw, Clive Henry, Mike
And
Ramey, and then the tank at the bottom.
oh, the tank. Oh, I missed Mike in the tank, man. I missed it.
Well, so just a little insight for everyone. After our last month's conversation, I said we need a new logo. So I said I want to get everyone to give me their pictures or their images. So VU gave his image, Jonathan gave his, Clive gave his, Mike gave his. No, my Henri gave his. Sorry, Henri gave his.
Mhm.
And Mike says, I just want to be identified by a tank. And as I said at the beginning of our conversation today, I have an intern that's doing some wonderful stuff for me. And
That's great.
when I told him that Mike wants to be identified as a tank, this intern chuckled. He said, I want to do this. I want to do this. So
That's great. Hey, look, Doc, I like you in the corner with your fist. Yes, I like it.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So VU, is it a thumbs up for the new logo?
Oh, most definitely, definitely.
All right. So I've shared it on our Discord back channel with everybody. So with everyone from the team. So hopefully they'll eventually open up. But I thought it was a great job. I want to get back to this thing about voting versus monetary. So one of the actually we just had an election here in Toronto. We have a new mayor, and people said, "Wow, like you think she'll serve the people?" I said, "Hold on a second. Politics ain't cheap, right? It takes money to run a political campaign." And the question is, a lot of people when they have political campaigns, they don't got money coming out of their pockets to do it, and a lot of times specialized interests do that support. So when someone gets elected to office, you know who they got to serve first, the people who gave them the most money. And a lot of times it ain't us.
Most definitely. Look, when you said that politics ain't cheap, you pretty much should have just closed the show down right there, because what you were saying is basically politics is about money.
Yeah. Like I tell people, we do not live in a capitalist society. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a capitalist society.
Right.
Right? Us melanated people, we have, and as Clive, you say, the only way we're going to do is not everyone has to work together, but a number of us have to get together. Simple as that.
You know, it's a biblical quote that says, money answereth all things. And what I found to be very interesting about that quote is what that quote doesn't say. It didn't say money was the best answer to all things. It didn't say money was the right answer to all things. It didn't even say money was going to be the most successful answer. But it just shows you that that is the go-to resource while we're in these physical bodies having this human experience as spiritual beings. That just shows you how money is the go-to thing that people will use to try to solve the problems, which shows you how the companion quote is also relevant. What did Yeshua? What did Jesus say? He said, "A man can't serve two masters,
Yes.
God and money. You
Money.
have to pick one."
Yep.
That's look. That's the everyday choice. Every time you get out of bed and leave your house, or if even if you don't leave your house.
You're not kidding. No, you're not. You're not kidding at all. You're not kidding at all. You're not kidding at all. I tell you, this it just continues as one of my all-time favorites. Freddie Coleman says, "The more I know, the less I understand." Less I understand. Go ahead, VU.
Yeah, I was just thinking, what we were talking about a little earlier, and then I mentioned that we have to fight the temptation of living in fear every day of what could happen that may have a negative slant. Um, the old Shakespeare quote comes to mind. People think Tupac made it up, but I forgive them. But the Shakespeare quote that says, "A coward dies 1,000 deaths, a brave man only one." Why repeat images of failure and defeat over and over again? Why meditate on that over and over again when many times the worst scenario doesn't even happen? And I know all of this is easier said than done, but I try to tell myself that almost on a daily basis to try to keep my head straight.
Clive, anything you're wanting to add?
Well, it's positive mental attitude. You have to have that willpower. Will has to be stronger than the skill. But it's true. Black people, we got to understand that we are in a game or a war. Then it will make sense. And waking people up, people don't think it matters. But I will say this: it's like the sea. The sea is a massive. It's a majority on the planet. One drop of water that doesn't do anything, but you add up a billion trillion drops of water, it becomes a sea, and then the tsunami comes and everything changes. So that is why they keep people stupid. They keep people stupid on purpose. If people, whenever people are watching things, they need to understand, what am I watching? What's the lesson? What's the message here? Whenever I'm watching something, I'm watching TV, and it's like you're watching these slavery programs. What is the message that you're getting from there? They're not teaching you anything to make you smarter. They're not teaching you anything to make you escape the loop that you're in. But if you look at it wisely from a different angle, you'll see that the things that the things that people hold you back with, like education and unity, is their kryptonite. Even Superman had kryptonite. Everyone's got a weakness, but
That's
you have
true.
to understand, and they use our weakness against us. Black people, they say black people are the most violent, but we can't be. You look at it realistically, we're the most caring, loving people, welcoming people in. That's how they was able to trick us and turn it around and then enslave us, because we go, oh, come in, we do it today. A black person has a cookout. They're inviting everyone. They even know the person. Come on, get a plate. It's true. You look, like I said, I analyze things. This is our nature. We are good by nature. So, and that is how evil comes in to turn it around and use your weaknesses against you.
And Clive and Doc, on to piggyback on what Clive just mentioned, as far as the plates, giving people plates.
Yeah.
How many of us have been over someone's house, no matter what the event, and food is involved? Not only will they give you a plate, you will make an enemy if you refuse to take it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is our nature, Ubuntu. That's what for thousands of years before religion, black people. These are the things I try to share on Facebook and the social media, so people can start. Oh, I didn't know that. People are white people and black people. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, because the narrative they want to push is that slavery started everything and black people didn't do anything. We started everything. The amount of arguments I've had with people because they don't read, and it's frustrating. But like, I'm calmer now. I'm older and wiser, so I understand. They're not at that level. No, but when you're younger, you got a hotter head. Your temper's less. As you get older, and you got kids, you have to be a bit more patient. And it's like
Right.
now, if they don't get it, I just leave them, you know. But if they get it and they ask the right question, I'll push them to where they need to look.
You know,
So,
I was thinking, a lot of the answers to our questions are right in front of us.
oh yeah,
And to Doc, to the many listeners of your show, those who are familiar with the allies, they already know this. But for the uninitiated, let me
Yes.
just mention.
Or
Let me just mention.
undoctrinated,
Yes, yes,
or
yes,
the
yes.
unvaccinated. So
Or the yeah, there you go. Or to bring a word all the way from 1990s for the new jacks. Um, Dr. Vibe's allies is really all about the betterment of course, primarily men first, because that's a voice that we want to be consistently providing. But it's expansive, women, black people, all people. It's for humanity. We are for what is right. And when
mm,
you think of the word ally, it's the difference between an ally and a friend. Sometimes, see, this is what we need to do and be mindful of. I believe that will be helpful. You don't have to agree 100% with everyone on everything in order to make positive moves that will benefit all sides, right?
exactly.
So, with that being said, there are people of other faiths, people of other beliefs, people of other ethnicities, or what have you, people of all, economic walks in life. There are those things that we can agree on. And when we agree on those things, it would behoove us to move forward to make progress on those things that we agree upon. And so, with that being said, I think a more strategic way of looking and moving through life would be beneficial for all of us, and especially for Black people.
wow.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Drop the mic. Drop the mic. How do you follow that up? How do you follow that up? Maybe we can go on a different topic. We haven't even.
Look, let me throw this in for good measure. You know how you see these war movies and everybody's won the battle, and then this one guy, he'll go back and shoot somebody who's already down. That's what I'm doing right now. Let me go back and shoot this topic one more time and say this. That statement was for people who love to misunderstand things on purpose. There are people who love to be outraged. They will take one statement out of 75 statements that another person makes, harp on that, and use that to create a wedge and drive it in between any form of unity or cooperation.
Mhm.
And so that was one of the reasons why I felt it necessary to say what I just said, to kind of, once again, as you said, Doc, to kind of initiate the people, kind of let them know where our heads are at.
Absolutely. And we've always had that consistent thought process for years,
Yep.
for years, for years. Well, we'll be ending off soon, so I'm going to throw out another interesting conversation topic. I got to sneeze, and it isn't coming, so I don't know when I'm going to sneeze. But let me see if we can introduce this other conversation topic. I guess it is confirmed that Tyler Perry now owns BET.
Oh,
Interesting.
Any thoughts?
well,
Uh oh. Uh
I did,
oh.
I did see something, but I thought it was a rumor.
I like, and that's a funny thing. So I'm gonna make it's a rumor. I've heard everything from yes to it's a rumor to like which is another funny thing. Why can't someone just say it's? Why can't he say it's true, or
Mm,
is he saying nothing? But let's okay. Let's say it. He takes over BET. Is that well, first of all, is BET it's something any of you even watch these days?
I used to watch it all the time, but then in the UK they kept on changing the channel, so and then it eventually came off. completely. And now we can find it from on different like platforms. But it's everything. I think with the TV has become a case of there's an agenda. Black programming is now a negative, just like rap music used to be. I mean, we're all old enough to remember when everything was new and it was all black and it was underground. And now, when it becomes mainstream, corporations take it over and they got their agenda spin on it, and it becomes a negative push to change the character and behaviors of black people. So, if Tyler Perry does take it over, it will be interesting. I can't really comment to say is it going to be a positive or negative move, because what I see on that US TV is like the what I call is like ratchet TV. These these reality TV shows,
Yeah.
where they exaggerate negative, stereotypical black people. When I was young, and they used to have things like Cosby Show, Different World, and things that had a message in, even the Fresh Prince, things that had a message. They don't really have programs like that really anymore, and it's you can see how the TV is a big influence on people's lives, because when we were young, they didn't have nudity on the TV. Now it's like nudity's on daytime TV, so they are pushing the agenda for kids to really be wild, you
Look,
know.
you got nudity on Disney now, Clive.
Yeah, exactly. But this is it. It's just crazy. It's crazy what has become of the world. It's so wild out there. I mean, kids nowadays, they they're either really good and wise at a young age, or they're really wild and don't care about life, and they either end up dead or in jail. And I'm a taxi driver, so I see it every day on a regular. And these kids, their mentality, they don't read, so they don't even know anything. Their reality is in front of their face, and it's all negative. They gossip. They like the ratchet TV, and everything is a negative thing, and they can't see past into the future unless they get something bad happen to them. Then they realize, oh my God, you know. So yeah,
Hey,
it's very
hey,
weird.
hey, Clive and Doc. You know, they say that past behavior is the biggest predictor of future behavior.
Yep, yep.
Like I'm going to really date myself, but I think it was happening in the 90s. Do you remember a series of commercials? I forgot what they were selling, but they were calling themselves the Fun Police. And it was some NBA players, and
Mm.
Kevin Garnett was one. It was like three of them, and they would go around in all these little different scenarios, and whoever was stopping people from having fun, the Fun Police would show up. But anyway, uh, there was a there was one skit where they called the Fun Police on this little boy who was on the playground, and he was holding the basketball tight, like he didn't want to let it go. And so
Oh,
you
okay.
you remember that?
Kevin Garnett, Gary Payton, and
That's
Jason
it.
Kidd.
Yeah, this little guy was holding the ball, and he wouldn't give the ball up. Said, "Give us the ball, give us the ball." He said, "No, no, no." So they called the fun police on the little boy because he was a ball hog, and so one of the fun police guys said, "Man, I never seen a case like this before. He won't even let the ground touch the ball." So
Shame.
all of that had a point. The point is this: let's look at Tyler Perry's past behavior. Tyler Perry is a man who has bragged about doing everything himself, writing, directing, everything himself. If he could act in all of his roles at the same time, he would do that. That's the ball hawk analogy. What happens with BET? I'm wondering, is it going to matter to anybody other than Tyler Perry? Because he has the studio and the sound stages that he has, but for the life of me, I can't name one person that I've heard that he's put on as another director or
Ah,
producer.
I've heard
Any
people say that. It's all Tyler.
right. So BET, he may change what those BET letters stand for somehow, and the T will stand for Tyler somehow. I don't know. So I don't know if it's going to be a
I, I don't watch BET, even
Right.
though I think this is my thought on this. Kudos to Tyler Perry, amass a great empire, studio, and all that. The concern I have, first of all, is he made a lot of money being a black man wearing a dress. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And I have a little bit of a concern, and more power. He worked it, more blessing to him. But think about that.
Yeah, all of the stories we hear from many people in Hollywood, especially black men, about the gatekeepers wanting them to put on the dress.
Yep.
What is it about that? Buck breaking is a word that's real.
Oh, yep.
Right? So, and again, success to him, but people think about that. Really think about that. He amassed his fortune portraying a black man in a dress. Now, hey, I know people are transgender and all that, but just think about that, right?
It's
Just
something about it's Doc Clive, it's something about the non-threatening Negro.
there you
Oh, yeah.
go.
There
There
you
you
go.
well, okay. Now, I'm going to add a little bit onto that. We need to smarten up, Negro, and that's Negrow.
Right,
Hmm. This is
right.
it. It's one of those things where the face, what they say, um all skin folk ain't kinfolk. You know, the
And,
agendas.
and not all money is good money.
And every
Exactly.
every brother ain't a brother cost a color.
Exactly. That's how I say to people: judge a person by their actions, and you can't go wrong. You know.
Now, I hope that if Mr. Perry takes over BET, there is a change in content.
Hmm.
But again, in that business, as we all know, eyeballs and sponsors are the bottom line. So if there's no change, I'm not surprised.
Something
Exactly.
else that I found unsettling, you guys can Google it if you don't recall it when it happened. There was every 5 minutes somebody has a big conversation about diversity, where they do a lot of talking. But and whenever they do something towards it, unfortunately, much of it is performative, you know. And
Symbolism.
right, right.
Yep.
But having said all that, look for an article where Tyler Perry is quoted as saying that he wasn't for it in a large
Oh,
extent. Uh, he wasn't really a huge champion for having seats filled by people who look like him. And he gave some reasons why. And I just found it to be a little unsettling, but look that up.
mm,
Tyler Perry's views on diversity in hiring. And when you hear that or see that article, it'll solidify even further what I said about the jury is out. We don't know if this is going to impact us as a people positively at all.
true. But this is it.
No.
You can only go by what you've seen before. You'd be shocked if you do see a positive change, but it's always, who are they
It-
involved with
so here's,
and their agenda.
but also too, does he? There's no need. Well, let's put it this way: one of the reasons he was able to buy BET is because it's a losing proposition for Viacom.
True.
Viacom, Paramount Viacom is losing money, so that's why it was getting sold. So
Mm,
that's why he was able to buy it. If they were making money, that's a whole other conversation with streaming services and all that, because they want to get rid of it because it's not profitable.
mm,
So the question will be, what will he change if it's not profitable with the content it's showing now? Will Mr. Perry make some changes to see if it can become profitable or more profitable? Actually, you know
And
what? I should just go ahead.
and then they'll buy it back when it gets profitable again.
Oh no, don't go there.
That's what
But
happens with black businesses. They get successful and they sell it, man. Either by force or by them wanting that. That's the thing you see. It's like it's a never-ending cycle because The slave mentality is to keep you poor when you get a bit of money, like, oh, I've never had this before and I'm gonna jump, you know. But like I say to people, no amount of money is gonna let me sell out my people. I don't care if you're giving me $1 billion. What did Malcolm say? There's house Negroes and field Negroes. I'm a field Negro. No amount of money is gonna buy your soul. You know, those people. The thing is, if you never had it, you don't know what it's like. But when those people at the who are really rich, they're not living better than the average person. They only can pay their bills. I know people who are really well off, and I've asked them, you know, I'm a nosy kid. I ask people questions, and it's the truth. They got more problems than you could even dream of. The only thing that they can do is they can pay their bills. Because think about it. If I'm rich and I'm wearing a Rolex watch down the street in a poor neighborhood, that's security. I got to worry about myself. If
Right.
I've got a fancy car, does this girl really like me, or is it the fancy car? I've always got that internal mental breakdown going on. So being rich is not the best thing in the world. You
Well,
know,
there's a
it's like,
difference between rich and wealthy.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. I will say, look, I've seen tramps there sharing a drink, they're in love. You can't beat that. That is like real. They got nothing,
Right.
zero, below society, and they still caring for each other. You know, the people you see them in Africa, they've got nothing, they're smiling. These kids there, my iPhone, they're throwing it down, they don't appreciate things.
Hey,
It's a
Clive.
crazy mentality.
Hey,
It,
Clive. So are you saying that 25, 30 years ago, P. Diddy was actually right? More money,
Oh
more
boy.
problems.
We don't. Well, he's launched a big lawsuit against his liquor
Ciroc?
company. Yes,
it's
and you know
parted
something?
ways.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he's launched a lawsuit. Good luck.
Mm,
That goes back to what Clive just said. And Clive was being kind. He said they would buy back BET. And what Clive
exactly.
really meant to say they would take back BET, and that's
Exactly.
exactly
I'm
what.
being politically correct. We don't
Great.
want to get you. We don't want to get you banned. I'm a nice guy.
Look. I'm telling you,
It's crazy out
Diddy.
here.
Good luck, Diddy, trying to win that because you're gonna fight that brand.
I know it's crazy.
P
It's
Diddy was
crazy.
just he was just a front man. He was the mascot.
Oh yeah,
Well,
He
that's
thought
what I
he
said.
yeah, that's a very interesting terminology you just used, VU.
he
It's
thought he was
true.
a coach, but he's really a mascot.
Most of them celebrities are. You know, they are basically the brand, the tin of beans on the shelf. You know, it's a crazy world. You know, it's a crazy world.
A
But
tin of
like for the
beans
outsider,
on
we
the
don't really
shelf.
know because we don't
A
unless you know
tin of
people in the industry.
VU. You hear that? A tin of beans on the shelf.
They are. They are a lot of. You know, it's like
Wow. Clive, you went there?
it's true. It's
sealed,
true.
sealed up, just waiting to be
Wow.
It's
used.
crazy, man. The things like I said. That's why they push knowledge of self. You know what I mean? That's why, you know, like Dave Chappelle ran off to Africa. He said, I don't care how much money you're giving me. I'm not doing what you want me to do. You know, and he fled because they wanted him to bow down and he didn't want to bow down. You know, just like Malcolm. That's why Malcolm X is always going to be my number one hero of all time, and Muhammad Ali. I ain't bowing down to nobody apart from God. It don't matter how much money you're going to give me. It doesn't, that money will not change a thing. You know, Will Smith said it best. He said, "Money just amplifies your character, what you already had. So if you're a horrible person when before, you're going to be a horrible person after." It's true. It's true because there are some kind, nice, rich people, and there's some horrible people. You know, but like I say, everyone's going to hit the ground when they die. Everyone's going to the same place. Look, we in this country we had the Queen. She was on the throne 70 years. She passed away.
Mm.
You know,
Well,
all that
hey,
money's back.
yeah, but again, and just out of who's the largest landowning family of the world? The royal
The royal
family.
family.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Can now answer this question? Anybody, doesn't even matter. Is it possible for them to live on all that land in a lifetime?
No,
No, but yet they won't. They're not giving it up, are they?
they
and
are not
and
giving
we
it
and
up.
we and we don't want to go into how they may have acquired it legally.
Oh, oh
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So
Oh yes.
Let's I think we'll end on that. Legal. On
come to England. Come to London. Come
Well,
to
look,
London.
gentlemen, look, I thank you for taking the time. Unfortunately, we didn't have the two other allies. Well, three. Mike Ramey is off for the summer. He won't be back till September-ish. Henri and Juice Man, wherever they are, we hope they're doing fine. But you can catch us the last Thursday of each month having spirited conversations about things that'll go on. So first things first, VU, how can people find you?
As I always say, brace yourself first. Make sure your insurance is paid up, and then go over to victoryunlimitedShow.com. Before I hand it over to Clive, I want to mention this for you, Doc. Give you a plug. I love the show that you do with the ladies, man.
Oh,
I'm gonna watch that when I get a chance.
Yeah,
I've been so busy.
Asia,
Jill
and
and Lala. Oh,
yeah, man. Hey, look, you talk about uncut, straight from the shoulder. No gloves on. Yeah,
they don't. You know what we should do? Actually, I think we should bring the allies and the ladies together for a show.
We've done it before. It's been
Did we do it once?
It was a different set of ladies, though.
Yeah, once.
Yeah, but no, this. So, what do you think, VU? We should try to work that out. Bring us all together for a show.
Well, hey, this is war. I'm already living dangerously. So. But
no,
yeah.
Thank you for the blood. No, the state of things. All I'm gonna say is, so you have a choice of doing two things with that show. You can watch the live version, which is not filtered,
uncut,
or you can wait for the replays that come out usually about 3 or 4 days later. But Aisha, Jill, and Lala, and especially when Jill gets into one of her, that's all I'm gonna say. You know where I'm coming from, VU.
Yeah, that's funny. But anyway, Clive, I'll turn it over to you, ally.
Thank you very much, VU. I'm good to hear. I'm glad you got on the show. Okay, to get hold of me, people, I'm the author of this book, Racism is Real, Clive Henri, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones, and in the British Library. Okay, so I've been plugging. I've been doing a lot of work. I had to knock on a lot of doors. It took a long time. People had to approve it. When that British Library said, yes, we've approved it and it's in the library, I was like, yes. But yeah, to get hold of me, I'm on Twitter at Clive Henri 1. That's the number 1. I'm on Facebook, Clive Henri. I'm on Instagram, Racism is Real. And I'm on TikTok, Racism is Real. So if you Google Clive Henri Amazon, you will find all of my contacts. And, I always reply back to people. I'm always mindful of that. People want help, answers, point in the right direction. So, yeah. Wonderful. Robin Hood City.
All right. And what time is it right now in Robin Hood City?
It is 3:05 a.m.
There you go, family. And this gentleman has been consistent with all the allies conversations over the many years. So that's reason itself.
Even when I had a day job.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I'm my own boss, but when I had a day job, I had 2 hours sleep, go to work, get up at 7,
I was crazy. But gentlemen, always a big thanks, and we'll catch you soon. Thanks very much, both VU and Clive Henri.
Okay.
All right, we got it. So you can watch replays of epic conversations like this on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and the Dr. Vibe Show website, which is www.thedrbeshow.com. How can you get a hold of me? If you want to get a hold of me, this is how you do it. Website, I already gave you the address. Email dr.vibe at the drbeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the Dr. Vibe Show. Twitter at drvibeshow, and Instagram at the drvibeshow. Also, if you'd like to advertise your business or service on the platform, email me. And also, if you want, as I always said, make sure, I just put it down here. I got to scroll with all the things I got to do here. Again, like the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button so you get notified of conversations, and also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook and LinkedIn. So as we close out, here we go. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We'll catch you next month on the Allies, the last Thursday of the month. But in between, lots of conversations going on. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith and walk good. And thanks for taking your time to watch. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. Yeah. Listen.